Thank you. Welcome back. In the last segment, we were talking about habits of empowered people. And now we're going to focus on mantras of an empowered mindset. You know, being empowered is so much of a being. It's part of your mindset. It's part of who you are. It's the core of everything that you do. And when you start to shift and become more mindful, as we discussed, and you incorporate those habits then become very much ingrained in who you are, so that you can forge forward in life, living without being as mindful of having to really dissect everything. It becomes very habitual in how you're just being empowered. And it's a very peaceful thing. So I'm going to give you some mantras that you can use day in and day out. They become affirmations. You can post them on your wall if you need to. You can write them on your mirror if you need to. Whatever it is that you need to do to make these affirmations, these mantras, part of your life until they become very much part of who you are without really thinking. The first one is about perspective. You have control of one thing only, and it is your perspective. One thing that you can control in this world is your perspective. All these things that are coming at us in so many different ways, shapes, and form in life, you can choose to look at them one of two ways, positively or negatively. You can see the opportunity in every obstacle, or you can see it as a victim. Why? Why is this happening to me? Now, is that an empowered mindset? That's giving your power away. Instead of saying, all right, there's an opportunity in this. What is it? Let me find that nugget of wisdom. It becomes exciting. It takes something that can be really draining and gives you power to overcome it, correct? So you have power and control over your perspective every second of every day. That's you. That's your power. Own it. The second one is I have more fear of regret than I have of failure. I have more fear of regret than I have of failure. Why do I say that? What is the number one thing that holds us back from everything that we want in life? Fear. Fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of being rejected, fear of failure, fear of everything. Fear is the thing that holds us back. The opposite of fear is love. It's the opposite. So you can choose fear or you can choose love. Many of you probably know the analogy of fear. False evidence appearing real. It's not real. Most of what we fear is completely an illusion that we have created based on our past experiences or someone else's experiences that decided to dump them into our head. But they're not ours. And we can let them go. It's not real. My fear of failure was my most debilitating fear that I had. While many people thought I was playing big in my world as an entrepreneur right out of college and doing motivational speaking, it seemed like I was playing big, but I was actually playing small. I was barely stepping out of my comfort zone because I feared failure. I don't believe in the failure's not an option mantra because it makes you not try what you might fail at, right? Failure, this is another mantra that goes right into this. Failure is only part of the process on the journey to success. Failure is only part of the process on the journey to success. How many people do you know that are successful have not failed? It's unheard of, right? Anyone who is successful can give you their entire list of all their failures, but they saw them as lessons. They saw it as just part of the process of figuring things out. They didn't let it stop them. It's only a failure if it stops you. And you shut down, become a victim, and give up on your dreams. Then the relationship changes. My fear of failure was so debilitating that it kept me from living to my fullest potential. And it wasn't until I realized that I had more fear of regret. I had this idea journal. It was like this big. And I kept writing all my ideas into my idea journal. And someday I was going to get to my ideas in my idea journal. Well, another mantra, by the way, someday is today. I was reading an article about somebody who had the same idea that I had that was in my idea journal. And I thought, they stole my idea. And they're so successful with my idea. How many of us have done that, right? There's a lot of us that have done that. But what I realized is that they had the courage that I didn't have. And I asked, why? Why don't I have the same courage? What's holding me back? And my girls were newborns at the time. And I thought to myself, how am I going to teach them that they can do and be anything that they want if I'm not doing it myself? How? They know. They'll be able to see that I'm not living my truth. They'll see I'm playing it small. They'll see it in my smile, right? They see it in my happiness. They see it in my confidence. They read body language better than any adult does. So having more fear of regret, that mantra was the number one mantra that set me free. Because when I was reading that article and saw that successful company was the same idea as my idea journal, I thought that feeling of regret is so much worse than had I tried and had a journey that got me to success. Because once you try, you're never the same person, which brings me to the next mantra. When you face a fear, you are never ever the same person again. When you face a fear, you are never ever the same person again. How great is that? You evolve, you grow, you transform instantly. It changes your entire perspective of the world. My fear, my biggest fear as a child, aside of failure, which was an overall fear, my fear was television. I kid you not. When I was a kid, my mom had a TV show, and she brought me on for different segments. And I got made fun of in school, as that happens for kids, right? So I quit. And my mom was devastated, and she said, please don't quit. You love this. What are you doing? And I said, I love it, but I don't love being made fun of. So I quit. And I gave up on something that was very much part of what I loved, who I was. How many of us have done that? How many of you have given up on something that you love because somebody else didn't approve of it? Somebody else made fun of it. You felt uncomfortable because you didn't own who you were. And so I gave up on that. It wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I faced that fear. The opportunity came all along that entire time period. And it wasn't until I finally realized everything I want in life, I will not achieve if I don't face this fear. I have to have a megaphone that's big to say all the things I want to say. How can I not have a megaphone that actually gets the word out? And so I faced that fear. Live television in front of millions. And boy, was I afraid. I didn't eat for weeks before. I was obsessed about what was I going to wear? What was I going to say? I went back to all those childhood fears. And when I went on air that day and I faced that fear, I truly transformed instantly. I embraced who I was again. I became alive again. There was a part of me that I had stifled and pushed down. And that person came out that day. I looked at the host next to me. I said, when can I come on again? This is great. I was so excited and so alive. The adrenaline kicked in. When you face the fear, you're never, ever the same person again. The next mantra is the only race that exists is the race within. When I was younger, I was in track, and I ran the Junior Olympics, and my coach was an Olympic coach, and he had said to me, listen, every single time you're running, I notice that when someone gets close to you, you turn your head. He said, you hear their breath, and you turn your head, you're winning. And you turn your head, what are you doing? You're going to lose the race. And so here I am in the Junior Olympics, and I'm running the 200-yard dash, and I'm winning. And I hear this breath behind me, and I turn my head. And not only did I lose the race, I fell down and lost the race. I tripped, and I fell, and I lost the race, but that was such a metaphor for life. If you're busy looking around at what everybody else is doing, you're not focused on the race within. The race within is being the best version of yourself. That's your race within. Being the best version of yourself every day, being better than you were the day before. Looking in that mirror every morning and say, show me what I'm not seeing. Let me peel back another layer. Let me stop blocking myself. Because, coming into the next mantra, you will never get over the outer roadblocks until you get over the inner ones. Those outer roadblocks will stand firmly in place unless you get over the inner ones. I have people come to me all the time and say, Jen, teach me how to start a business. And I said, well, before you can start a business, I need to teach you how to have the right mindset of success. Because I could give you every tool in my toolbox. I could give you every contact in my database. And if you do not have the mindset of success, you will be like, it'd be like using a hammer as a screwdriver. And you will constantly have obstacles. So until you get over your inner roadblocks, the outer ones will stand firmly there because you will be a victim to them. They will be your reason for quitting. They will be your reason for saying it didn't work. I tried. Instead of saying, what is within me that's causing these roadblocks? What am I creating? What am I thinking that's making these things happen to me? Anytime things start to happen that are going away from the direction I would like them to go in, I stop and I think, what am I thinking that I don't even realize? What is in my subconscious that's creating this? And then I figure out how to make it different. The most successful people work on themselves first. That's another mantra for you. The most successful people work on themselves first. They dedicate time to their businesses, yes, but they work on themselves first. The second they wake up in the morning, throughout their day, they're mindful. At the end of the day, they're reading, they're educating themselves. They're not wasting time doing things that aren't productive for their growth. They're invested in themselves to be the best version that they can be. The next mantra is, I only have good days. It's a funny one, right? Because I get it. We don't only have good days. But if you have the mantra that I only have good days, and you can wear it around you, have it on your Post-it notes by your computer. You can put it on your mirror. It reminds you. Put some humor into life, right? I only have good days. When my one daughter was 5, she looked at me and she said, Mommy, I was having such a bad day. And I thought, at 5, the drama, at 5. And I said to her, you know what, honey? You keep saying that, you know what's going to happen. She said, more of a bad day? And I said, exactly. You'll have more of a bad day. So you need to hit the mental reset button and reprogram that thought. She said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, something like, I only have good days. The opposite of having a bad day, right? So she began to imitate me and said, I only have good days. I only have good days. And as she did it, her twin sister rolled over her foot with a scooter and she said, Madison, I only have good days. And she looked at me and she said, Mom, if I said that I only have good days, then why did she run over my foot with a scooter? And I said, because you didn't believe it yet. In every cell of your soul, we're tested constantly throughout life of how we're going to handle our reaction versus our response. Would you prefer to react or to respond? React is just instinct. Response is being in control of your emotions and thinking through how you respond to somebody. You get so much more out of every single communication when you respond to somebody versus react to them. The next one, the next mantra, is another one that I call my momism. You must learn to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it goes into facing those fears. So learning to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, it's like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it gets, right? So putting yourself out there constantly in situations that are uncomfortable, not necessarily facing the fear. The fear is the big leap, right? So if you need to work into that big leap, facing the fear. For a lot of people I know, it's going to networking events by themselves. Such a fear for people. I don't want to go by myself. Well, if you go with somebody else, you're going to talk to the other person that you already know, and then you're not going to network, right? So you want to make sure that you're putting yourselves in situations that you're uncomfortable. so that you grow and become comfortable with it. The next mantra is, what if and why not? When I was launching my Butler Bag company, everyone told me that was in the industry that I looked up to, women do not want function, they only want fashion. And I thought to myself, wait a second, I'm a woman and I want both. How is this possible that everyone doesn't agree with me? And so had I listened and I had backed down from their advice and not listened to my intuition, which, by the way, is your powerful tool to tap into every day, I would have given up on my dream, and I don't know if I'd be standing here today, quite honestly. Because that path of launching that company became so much of a path of who I am. It became a springboard to all the things that I'm doing today. And I finally, instead of defending my idea, I said to the person across the table from me, what if, just entertain this thought for 1 second, what if women do want it? And what if it changed the entire industry and you had a chance to be a part of it and you said no? Then how do you feel? And what I did is I changed the entire power, the entire dynamic of the conversation. And I got them to see possibilities. What I realized is we in life are taught to tell everyone why something won't work. Instead of what if I fail? What if you succeed? What does your life look like? That's what you need to be picturing every day. That is the empowered mindset. That is how you have power to go forward and to be a leader. Leadership is not shaking hands and looking into the eye. Leadership is an energy. It's an excitement. It's an enthusiasm. It's a power that you harness that other people think, I don't know what this person's got, but I want to be a part of it. That's leadership. To have an empowered mind, it becomes who you are. It's not just here, but it resonates in every cell of your soul. It becomes the energy that you project to other people. It becomes the power that you lead by in everything that you do. We want to be taking our power and giving it to others in a way that inspires them, not gives our power away. I want to thank you all for joining me today. It has been such an amazing experience. It's something that I dreamed and manifested, as you know. And I really want you to take that nugget of wisdom and that story with you to realize it really does begin from within, understanding that we're here for a purpose and getting in tune to that purpose and understanding that we are meant to live with our passion. We are meant to live from a place of excitement and enthusiasm. That's why we're here. The empowered mindset allows you to be everything that you're meant to be, to live to your fullest potential. That's the most important place to be. I want to leave you with this thought, because as I mentioned, most people want to tell you why things are going to fail versus why they're going to succeed. And I see people struggling with outside influences as they're getting empowered. And I want you to take this mantra with you. Never ever let somebody dim your light because they are unaware of their own darkness. Never ever let someone dim your light because they are unaware of their own darkness. Often we're coming up against people who don't even know that they're in a sense of darkness. Instead, you want to shine your light so bright that you can only illuminate theirs. And that is the place of empowerment. To be empowered, to be inspired, and live in a life of purpose and peace. I want to thank you all very much for joining me. I hope that you all feel empowered and inspired to do and be what you're meant to do. Thank you.